Thank you for supporting the channel and tuning in to this 12-part series on the Comte de Saint Germain. Today we're going to get into Chapter 4, Yoga. And yoga may seem like a trivial aspect of Saint Germain's life to most people, including historians. But it may just be the key to unlocking the secrets of his age and even understanding what he wrote in cipher. But before we get started, I've left a cipher on the screen here. If you can crack this one, write it down in the comments below. And with that, let's get started on today's video. Chapter 4, Yoga. Now, yoga plays a very important part in Saint Germain's story, especially the theory that he may have lived for hundreds of years. There's not a lot in writing about his yoga, but there's enough fragments that we can put together the picture that he was definitely a yogi. According to Saint Germain's own account, he was in India twice subsequently to 1745, and a letter written by him in 1773 describes the second of these journeys made in the company of Watson and Clive in 1755. There are confirmed rumors that he had a retreat in the Himalayas to which he periodically retired. He was probably a practitioner of yoga and was seen in yoga postures on certain occasions. From Manly P. Hall, Saint Germain was thoroughly conversant with the principles of Oriental esotericism. He practiced the Eastern system of meditation and concentration, upon several occasions having been seen seated with his feet crossed and hands folded in the posture of a Hindu Buddha. So what he's describing here is Padmasana, or the lotus position. He had a retreat in the heart of the Himalayas to which he periodically retired from the world. On one occasion he declared that he would remain in India for 85 years and then return to the scene of his European labors. On the eve of the French Revolution, he was declined to see the king, and he made the following prophetic pronouncement. In opposing yourself to me seeing the monarch, you are wrecking the monarchy, for I have but a limited time to give to France, and when that time is past, I shall not be seen here again until 3 generations have gone down to the grave. His statement that France would not see him again for 3 generations agrees with another prophecy he made about his disappearing from Europe early in the 19th century and not reappearing for 85 years. Saint Germain then gradually passed into a solemn mood. I am leaving. Do not visit me. Once again you will see me. Tomorrow night I am off. Toward the end of this century I shall disappear out of Europe and betake myself to the region of the Himalayas. I will rest. I must rest. Exactly in 85 years will people again set eyes on me. Farewell. The Count was not only an alchemist, but an Eastern adept, displaying yogic behavior, meditating in the lotus posture, and calming animals by his fiery spirit. Sometimes he fell into a trance, and when he again recovered, he said he had passed the time while he lay unconscious in far-off lands. By the way, this is the exact same thing that Giannini is explaining in his book Worlds Beyond the Poles, when you turn to the first chapters on extrasensory perception, a 1-minute express to the universe about us. If you haven't read this book, I suggest that, but this whole chapter is covering the same topic. Sometimes he disappeared for a considerable time and then suddenly reappeared to let it be understood that he had been in another world in communication with the dead. Moreover, he prided himself on being able to tame bees and to make snakes listen to music. I'm not sure what it means by tame bees, but I guess he was a beekeeper and a snake charmer. Now, snake charmer is probably something that he had learned in India. And the final piece of evidence about yoga comes from Jean Overton Fuller's book, where she has completely missed the point on what he was doing. He had no books with him except for a dirty copy of Pastor Fido. He would seldom allow anybody to come into his room, but when one did, one would usually find him with his head wrapped in a black cloth. His preferred occupation was with the preparation of all kinds of dyes. The window of his room, which gave onto the garden, were so splattered with dyes that one could not see through them. Remember, the Bible says that the people who sat in darkness saw a great light. And from my own experience from yoga, I've got my sleeping mask right here. I know exactly why you close the windows and wrap a black cloth around your head. And you can see where the author has completely missed the point here. His working or sitting with his head wrapped in a black cloth, if it was not to keep the dye out of his hair, may have been because his head was sensitive to cold. So, maybe his head was sensitive to cold, but wrapping your head with a black cloth or wearing an eye mask is a meditation practice where you need to shut the light out of your eyes so that the inner light starts to shine. Now, from what I've noticed is that the oldest people on earth seem to be yogis from India and the Himalayas. So it's interesting that Saint Germain often went to India and retreated to the Himalayas. But what we can see is he was definitely found in yoga postures, and people were walking in on his meditation as his head was wrapped with a black cloth. So it gives this question a little more weight. Was he one of the long-lived adepts who lived without eating in a state achieved by some of the long-lived yogis in the Himalayas? So that may be. And we're going to get into yoga a little further as we look into theories on his reincarnations or incarnations.